5 kilos, baby got children, baby feel drug dealer, baby ain't the top of your rap, baby make classic, baby in the hood again acting, baby keep it real with his people, baby like a preacher, baby probably still sell reefer, baby putting on for the city, baby he the realest, baby probably got a couple million, baby having 4 or 5 kilos, baby got children, baby probably still drug dealer, baby ain't the top of your rap, baby make classic, baby in the hood again acting, baby keep it real with his people, baby like a preacher, baby probably still sell reefer, baby putting on for the city, baby he the realest, baby probably got a couple million, baby having 4 or 5 kilos, baby got children, baby probably still drug dealer, baby ain't the top of your rap, baby make classic, baby in the hood again acting, baby keep it real with his people, baby like a preacher, baby probably still sell reefer, baby putting on for the city, baby he the realest, baby probably got a couple million, baby having 4 or 5 kilos, baby got children, baby probably still drug dealer, baby ain't the top of your rap, baby make classic, baby in the hood again acting, baby keep it real with his people, baby like a preacher, baby probably still sell reefer, baby putting on for the city, baby he the realest, baby probably got a couple million, baby having 4 or 5 kilos, baby got children, baby probably still drug dealer, baby ain't the top of your rap, baby make classic, baby in the hood again acting, baby keep it real with his people, baby like a preacher, baby probably still sell reefer, baby ain't the top of your rap, baby make classic, baby in the hood again acting, baby keep it real with his people, baby like a preacher, baby probably still sell reefer. Baby he the realest, baby probably got a couple million, baby having 4 or 5 kilos, baby got children, baby probably still drug dealer, baby ain't the top of your rap, baby make classic, baby classic, 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 classic.
All right, good morning, friends. Good morning, happy Monday. Hope you guys doing well. Let me sound check myself. This shit's loud in my ears. Alrighty, there we go. I can actually hear myself speaking now. What up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys doing well. Oh, I can hear myself in the background. Tough. Just boomer doc problems. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I really was not locked in this weekend whatsoever, so I missed all the hyperliquid whale shenanigans, but I saw some tweets about it. I hope you guys didn't get absolutely demolished on some of this whiplash stuff that was going on, but nonetheless, I think it's pretty funny when you're just taking weekends off and you see people like hyper gambling on these like wicks and stuff. This is this morning, but where was it? Yesterday. These type of moves and stuff like that. Big short liquidation, a lot of longs closing right afterwards, but really amounted to nothing, right? You know, weekend moves, hyper liquid, stock market not open. I think there's like a lot of psyops that happens also with people that are at the current time being in the kind of mindset of like make it all back. And these stupid little narratives of let's liquidate the hyper liquid bear or whatever it is, like so silly to me, but it's at the same time pretty entertaining. I remember early on in my journey like really falling for stuff like that and getting hyper involved, but now I just look at it from like the back seat and go, all right, well, y'all have fun, I'll see you on Monday. See who's in here. Yeah, I love it. Bunch of familiar faces, some new ones too, or some people that I, you know, maybe not your first time in here, but some names that I don't recognize, which is always great to see new people coming in. Appreciate it, man. Honor for me. What up, Max? What up, Jags? Some homies. Good morning, Lear. Yeah, Lear, if you guys didn't know, he's the one that does all the video editing for Paragon. He made my intro as well, so big shout out to Lear for that. Have a great stream. Can't wait to watch later. Yeah, cool, man. As always, if you guys are new here, everything gets timestamped tomorrow, pretty much like 12 hours to 24 hours from now. Everything will be timestamped, and I'll, you know, update it, and you can flip around however you guys feel like. Confirmed lurker. All good, man. All good, all good. If you guys ever have questions, feel free to throw them in. And if you guys want me to like do chart requests and stuff, here's where I stand on that. I love doing it, but to a certain extent. Like if it's just all chart ticker spam, I don't think the streams are fun for anyone, because what I always say is like, it's one person getting me to look at their coin while everyone else kind of just like waits in line, and the people that are just not interested in my takes or familiar with how I see markets, they already kind of know what I'm going to say, and then it gets kind of boring. I get tired more quickly, but a lot of times people ask like fantastic questions that aren't purely, you know, where is support, where is resistance, and I think that stuff's more fun because it's more engaging, and I think that's the stuff that you guys could learn from streams is like experience-based stuff, stuff that, you know, doesn't appear every single day, maybe a couple times a year and stuff like that, and you could always borrow experience from other people that have been around the block a few times. Maybe there's more value in that. What's the mix that I have on in most of these streams? It is called Blade Runner 2049 Vibes. It's a Spotify playlist. Have you decided on the couch? So what I want to buy is the Restoration hardware cloud couch. But if I get like a couple of them or like get a sectional and stuff, that shit's going to come out to me like 12 grand. And I'm wondering, like, I'm just still shopping around to see if there's like any alternatives, but that's like a couch that I've wanted for a minute. So I might just pull the trigger and buy that one instead. The house that I got is not like the forever home. It was the kind of entry point of like moving from California to Florida. And you know, now that I'm here and I kind of want to stick around, now comes like the real house shopping, if you will, right? And my girlfriend keeps warning me like, don't get a bunch of furniture for this place because when we move, you might not, you know, like that furniture in the new place. So taking it slow still. All right, let's get focused up. I like it when it gets educational. You ask us questions and somebody calls Dicker. Yeah, we could do that in the public streams as well. Something I've been doing a lot in Paragon is like active education, where instead of people asking me questions, I flip the script and ask them, be like, all right, how would you trade this? And we kind of do a review that way. What was the intro song? It was Fred Again. What's the name of the song? Baby Again. So Fred Again, Baby Again. All right, let's get focused. All right, so the number one thing that's going on right now from my point of view is the mega downtrend that we were in on stocks, right? The ES, if you guys don't know, that's the S&P 500 futures. This has been in a mega downtrend for about a month. Big 10% nuke over like 3 weeks. So if we just take like a random high to low, 10.5%. Approximately. This is carried by the 4-hour trend all the way down to a significant level of support. So if we go to the weekly chart here, this is kind of a doodle I did a few weeks ago. Let's get rid of some of this stuff and just focus on the levels. So you guys can see very clean support resistance level. In my experience of trading stocks, they almost trade much more clean than crypto. Crypto being super PvP, very illiquid. There's a lot of like shaking people out of positions before we actually get the move that we want. Stocks are mega liquid, and to be honest, in my experience, respect simple support and resistance levels a lot better than crypto. So the most obvious weekly level on the chart is the one that I've highlighted. We smacked right into this one. I'm looking for relief here. That idea is being vindicated so far early week with the 4-hour trend breaking. So 4-hour downtrend really strong. We're flipping it. We're breaking above it. Big expansion candle. What you want to see if you're playing momentum here, let's just not trade below, right? Let's hold this expansion and look for the full gap fill. Let me mark this up in a different color. And let's look for the full gap fill into the daily trend, which would be 57, 5,800. That's why you guys keep seeing me tweet out 5,800 on ES. Been saying the same thing for a week, maybe a little bit longer. That I really want to see relief on ES. Now, what that's going to do in the current environment, based on the experience that I've gotten from trading the market in 2022, is when crypto is completely devoid of narratives, catalysts, upcoming things to look forward to, we just default to trading as stock market beta. And it's kind of a two-pronged sword because, yes, we will be correlated to the upside, but sometimes we don't get the moves that we want, right? We have very obvious levels on Bitcoin, and like I said, you know, crypto being a little bit more PvP, you may not get the exact target that's super consensus. So I'm hearing a lot of calls for 90K, 91K, 93K. I don't think that's, you know, outside of the realm of possibility, but my own targets for Bitcoin are a little bit lower, which would be like 88K. Let's move over here. If we can start pressing into the daily downtrend, it was very close. We can get a push into the 4-hourly 200, which is around 88K, 88.5 at the time of this outlook, or excuse me, at the time of the stream. Obviously, it's going to be trending down. So depending on how long it takes to get there, that would be my target for the upside, right? Now, zooming out on Bitcoin quickly, the same framework still stands, right? So a few weeks ago, actually longer than that, about 6 weeks ago, I started speculating on the possibility for a range low around 79K, right? And the reason being is the confluence of the 2024 value area high and this making a super clean mid-range with our yearly open, our previous range lows, the all-time high being our range high. This forms a very, very clean range. I haven't seen many other people using this type of framework. This is something that I kind of learned from EXO way back in the days. Like, you can kind of anticipate a range low based on measured moves. I kind of did that, built confluence of the 2024 value area high. If you guys aren't familiar with what that means, it's just the VWAPs, right? So if we're taking our yearly VWAP from 2024, this would be our 2024 value area high. So lot of clean confluence. I'm expecting, or I'm looking for, I wouldn't say expecting, I'm looking for the classic Magus momentum loss pattern, which is, you know, he's taught this publicly. It's basically weaker and weaker drives as you get into your point of interest. So if this is the support region that we're looking for, weaker and weaker drives as you're getting kind of momentum lost by the bears, and then you kind of get some drives upwards. This creates this rounding off effect before you get your pump upwards. We're sort of doing that, right? We're sort of doing that. And if we can get some real solid relief on ES, I think we threaten the 4-hourly 200. So that's pretty much where I stand. The way that I'm trading this is the same way that I've been trading for the past couple months, which is just intraday mean reversion. I'm not really looking to take many hero swing trades or anything like that. I'm not really interested in holding overnight positions either. You know, get my 1 or 2 mean reversion trades in a day. If they set up, if they don't set up, don't take a trade. That's pretty much where I stand. But the bias, at least at the time of this stream, is up. At the current time being, right? Using the thesis of this downtrend breaking and this potential gap fill. So this is aiding my bias into thinking that Bitcoin is going to get a little bit more relief. All right, that was a lot of yapping. Let's get back to chat. See what I missed. Since this bull run was different from others, do you think the bear will be different too? Yeah, I think, I think the altcoin market is definitively in a bear market, right? Losing weekly trends pretty much across the board. I can't think of, maybe XRP is holding the weekly trend. Maybe you guys know of any other coins that are, but I'd say, like, let's make just a shot in the dark here. 99.5% of the crypto market has lost its weekly trend, if not more. Most things have fully retraced their entire election pumps. A lot of stuff is even trading lower than the 2024 lows. So they made fresh macro, fresh high time frame weekly lows, which is not something you see in a bull market, right? So you could definitively say a lot of altcoins are already in a bear market. The difference already is that Bitcoin is holding up phenomenally well. Like, Bitcoin looks tremendous compared to the rest of the asset class. Now, I think what the difference is I don't think Bitcoin is going to randomly just nuke 70% without a massive stock market correction. So if something like this plays out, right? If we end up bouncing here and we create a lower high and we get rejected to make a lower low, this move down here on stocks is going to be pretty brutal for Bitcoin, in my opinion. And in many cases, you may even know that the ES is going to put in this leg down if Bitcoin already starts bleeding, because risk leads in markets, right? Risk will lead to the upside, risk will lead to the downside. If you're feeling nervous about markets, what's the thing you're going to sell first? You're going to sell your risk assets. You're not going to sell your favorite assets in the market. And think about the way that TradFi views crypto. They look at Bitcoin as a risk asset. So if they're holding Bitcoin, they'll probably sell that first before they sell anything else in their kind of stock portfolio. So what am I trying to say with that? What I'm trying to say with that is, if we're going to make this move right here, if this is inevitable or if this is coming, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Bitcoin. But does that mean that I think Bitcoin's going to go down to 30K in that move? Probably not. It'll probably just end up somewhere in this region, right? Whether it ends up at 50 or 60, or even we get lucky and it shows so much relative strength that we end up at 70, that would be, that would be probably our low on Bitcoin for the time being. I think getting lower than this is going to have to do with what we saw last cycle with intra-industry blowups, right? If we have like lenders blowing up, or if we have people with massive liquidation events or liquidation calls, or people that are holding a fuck ton of Bitcoin in crypto and their company's going under, they have to liquidate assets, those are the kind of things that we saw in 2022. I think those kind of events have to happen in order for Bitcoin to go into one of these massive 70% drawdowns or something like that. I don't personally see something like that happening on Bitcoin without the stock market absolutely shitting the bed, like 30%, 35% down the way that we saw in 2022, or intra-industry, like things happening in crypto blowing up. So that's kind of where I stand with this. Learning TA fundamentals are way more value than charting random shit? Well, they're one and the same thing, right? If I'm gonna teach, or if I'm gonna chart stuff, it's gonna be using my system, right? So it's one and the same thing. Have you been deploying stables? No. I'm in pure trader mode. So here's what I see, right? Nothing in, like, hold on. Let me take a step back. I'm not super interested in buying spot Bitcoin unless I want to take trades, right? If I want to take like a size trade and I want to do it through spot, which is something I did a couple weeks ago on this move right here. I always say first test, best test. I got that from Crypto Cred. I really think that's like a beautiful way to say something as far as testing a region that's gone untested before. So first test will be your best test, best reaction. The second test, you're going to need more structure. This is a move that I speculated on with Bitcoin. But I'm not super interested in picking up spot Bitcoin. If I want to pick up spot, it's going to be speculating on multiples on the altcoin side. And if I look at something like PEPE, right, if we just, look at this, even if this is the bottom, let's say hypothetically speaking, the bottom is in, 59 cents was the Pico bottom. We don't go any lower. We hold this range framework. It's going to take time, right? It's still going to do something like this, in my opinion. I still think it's going to take time to flip the daily downtrend, right? And then take back the weekly downtrend, right? And it's going to form an accumulation range for a little bit before we're ready to get super bullish again. So buying today, I don't see a point, because I'm probably not going to be just swing trading spot in this range. And if I don't want to do that, I'm just going to be strictly in trader mode, which is what I'm in right now. If I feel that markets are, holding value, putting in accumulation ranges, flipping high time frame downtrends, putting in fresh bullish daily market structure, that's going to be the moment that I want to speculate on, parabolic moves to the upside, and that's probably where I'm going to start picking up spot and stuff. So I don't see a reason to do so right now. I'm just not interested yet. I'd rather be, late than early. Have you encountered any interesting Florida men since leaving Cali? Excellent question. I have encountered one dude who was super talkative, but nothing that would be like specific to Florida, man. I've had a pretty damn good experience so far. Can you explain mean reversion? It's when I trade low time frames. So if I'm trading, like this morning, there was a good example here on Bitcoin with just puking into the value area low. Stock market open, a lot of volatility. We went from pretty much the value area high pre-market, bled into the value area low, got open interest to wipe out. So longs being, closed, or longs being closed, shorts being closed, basically leverage positions being removed from the market, a little bit higher relative volume. You can speculate on mean reversion to the daily VWAP. I don't really want to go in detail and kind of do a whole lesson on this or anything, but that's what I mean by mean reversion. You can do the exact same thing on the long side, right? Super liquid moves right into the value area high. Is the typical Magus bottoming idea purely based on candles, or is it RSI, AO, volume considered as well? The basis and backbone of Magus' system, the most used tool is going to be VWAPs, right? So he's not going to be using RSI, AO, and stuff like that. Sol lowest high of a downtrend. I actually don't know what that means as far as the question goes, but I can look at Solana quickly. I don't really want to look at ETH because it's such an embarrassment. These are the two plans that I have on Solana, is basically holding the 2024 value area low. I don't really need this on my charts anymore, but the 2024 value area low, which is pretty much where we're at. We're still in a really strong daily downtrend. We're gonna have to flip this. The kind of price action you're gonna get in this moment is not gonna be one of these Chad candles, in my opinion. You're more likely gonna get very choppy structural moves, even if we're gonna get to this value area high. If we're able to accept outside of this value area high once again, and we can start holding new value above, that opens up the possibility to trade much higher into 250s and maybe 260 again. But that's gonna take a lot of work. It's downtrending on the weekly, it's downtrending on the daily. This is the first bearish cross that we've gotten on the weekly basically since we broke out in 2023, right? So it's been a kind of 2-year bull market, a little bit less than 2 years, exact math is off. Or wait, it's been 2 years? Yeah, less than 2 years, 18 months or so. You're getting a bearish cross on the weekly. So the high time frame picture on pretty much everything in the market outside of Bitcoin, maybe XRP, is significantly different, right, than last summer. This looks bad, right? This doesn't look great. This is not a high time frame trending asset. This is not a high time frame uptrend. This is consolidation, breakout, trying to expand. This is the moment in the sun. This is the most bullish event in probably Solana's history, with the sitting president of the United States launching a meme coin. All that did was SFP the prior highs, failed to expand above the 2021 all-time highs. We already got a warning sign of weakness when you fully retrace back to the last value, right? And now you're nuking all the way back to last summer's lows, right? So this is the low that we set. This is the value that we developed over 8 months. We're not able to continue pushing higher. Supply overcame demand. You're dropping back into the bottom of last year's value. This is definitively worse looking than it has been the entirety of the cycle, right? So if you want to call for a bear market, it makes sense to do so in this environment. It does not make sense to do so, in my opinion. This is how I traded last summer. When you're high time frame uptrend, when you're in a weekly market structure uptrend, when you're weekly EMA uptrend, but when you've broken structure, dropped back into old value, now you're in bearish market structure, now you're in bearish weekly trends, daily trends, everything, this would make sense. If you're calling for a bear market, you're completely, vindicated on this idea, at least on Solana and other coins, right? If I just quickly look at ETH, you're making lower lows after the lows that you held in 2024, right? That's not a sign of a bull market. You don't make weekly lower lows in a bull market. You make weekly higher lows in a bull market. Look at this one, right? Even these big retraces, you're just retracing and creating higher lows, right? Where do you make the lower low? This is the low. This is the low that led to the all-time high push. This is broken weekly market structure. This is where you lose your weekly trends. You could argue that ETH hasn't even been in a weekly uptrend in like a year, right? It's been ranging for the past year, right? So this doesn't look that cute to me. This is not something that I would look at this and go, yeah, we're just in a bull market. We just need to chill. There were pieces that you could make here where it's just like, all right, if we just continue going sideways, we're forming another higher low, we can push again. But once you start making lower lows on the weekly, kind of tough to call for immediate kind of bull market resolution on certain assets. Do you see any risk off ahead of FOMC? I personally don't trade based on macro events. I don't really plan around them too much. There was a very clean meta for kind of pricing in expectations for CPIs and FOMCs, and I think that edge is don't see them that often anymore. I feel like most of the resources out there are more high time frame oriented. Anything you suggest for scalping intraday trading, I feel like that's the current play. I think there's a lot of people that educate as far as intraday trading and scalping and stuff like that that you can find from. But yeah, like public information, not too much, because there's a little bit of edge, in my opinion, right? Speaking from my point of view, trading low time frames. I think with high time frames, you're cutting out a lot of noise. And it's harder for one entity to move books, whereas in low time frames, one person can kind of bully it around. I know there's the Sailor TWAP, but think about how much money he's pouring into the market to move Bitcoin on high time frames. So I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't publicly teach low time frame trading, is they're personally concerned that they don't want their edge to erode too much. Speaking of, I think the rise of EMA trading may ultimately lead to the downfall of some signals on EMAs going into the next cycle and stuff like that. Because when I joined, when I was going full time, it was really just Pierre and Krillin who were trading EMAs. I know Dentoshi was too. I think she learned from them as well. Mercury got huge this cycle. My account got big this cycle, and I've seen a lot of traders using EMAs and stuff like that. So that's always in the back of my mind too, is like thinking about how valuable are they going to be going forward in the next cycle and stuff like that. I've already started to see a little bit of erosion on some of the hit rate as far as like the quality of win-loss on some of the 1 hour, 4 hour setups I was taking on trends in 2023 versus currently in 2025. Let's take a look at what's going on this morning. Another kind of high time frame thesis that I have here that I've been speaking about in Paragon for a while. I think I may have talked about it publicly. One of you guys in chat can tell me if I have or haven't. But the idea that I don't want to see Bitcoin perfectly retest, 69, 70K, right? Because I'm using the same exact ideology that I'm using here for Solana. This perfect retest of this prior composite value, this perfect retest of this prior range high, to me was a big warning sign of like potential weakness to come. I know we were granted this gift of this candle for anyone who didn't sell the first time around, like me, who wasn't perfect at risking off. Like I sold the day one downtrend, I compounded a little bit in here, but this is where I just max G'd everything into that weekend, right? So it was kind of a gift that was granted to us. If we're here on Bitcoin, right, and we get this perfect retest of this level that everyone and their mother wants, to me that's already a sign of weakness, because never once have we done that the entirety of this cycle. This has been, build value markup, build value markup, build value markup, right? You're not getting these perfect retests of prior ranges. So to me, that really opens up the idea of, if we're getting a second leg, it may look something like this, where if we drop down and we spend a couple months just kind of perfectly retesting 69, 70K, right? The next time we pop upwards, I think that's going to be conducive to people de-risking right around all-time highs once again, which could open us up to a prolonged like high time frame range. So we'll have to see what we get, right? In the back of my mind right now, they're all if-then plans. Nothing is concrete. There are no like banger signals that you have to attack, right? The last time I got banger signals on high time frame, one was right here, right? And the other one was right here in October, right? We're way too early for me to kind of do anything like that with the market right now. So it's just kind of make a game plan, see what develops, see if you can attack it. If it doesn't work out, make another game plan. So in the back of my mind right now, I have like 4, 5, 6 game plans on what can occur. And until one of those starts shaping out, where I can start, attacking the market with that mindset, I'm simply just playing my intraday trades, using the bias from ES to say that we should trade higher, possibly this week, right? We're looking at ES here. This is a really clean gap. This is a really clean gap. And we're kind of just hoping that Bitcoin can make it to 88 from this point. The edge is not TA, it's you, 100%. I've been there a few times already. Livid, I think we were speaking about this in Paragon last week in the private stream, where I started seeing a little bit of a lower hit rate with the 4-hour demand, 4-hour trend setups, right? And I started adding the H1 time frame into it to look for kind of like the compression trades or a second sweep in demand, stuff like that. So there's things that you can add. You're just kind of playing chess with the market. Once the market kind of figures out everything that you do, right, that doesn't mean the game's over. You figured out one edge on the market one time, you can definitely figure out another edge on the market the second time, right? If someone keeps countering the same way, right, you flip up, you flip the script. I'm trying to think of a good NBA or basketball metaphor, because I know you played basketball. Which I think of one. Oh yeah, like if you're running a pick and roll for your center, right, and everyone just clogs the paint, your shooter's going to be open. So the adjustment that you make from that is like you can run the same play, fake to the middle, and have wide open shooters. Probably not the greatest metaphor, but I think it works well in markets as well. If the market keeps countering your plays, right, you kind of open yourself up for the next one. Have you ever considered Forex? No, I haven't, because there's no need, right? If you're comfortable trading one asset or doing one thing well, there's really no need to pivot just for the sake of pivoting, right? There's just no need for me to do that. If one day comes along where I'm like, I cannot extract value whatsoever in crypto and I'm completely washed and I can't figure anything out and I'm consistently losing money, maybe then I start looking for other ventures. And I don't even know if that'd be Forex, but yeah, maybe probably be stocks first before Forex. How do you deal with overtrading? I find myself opening an intra-week swing position and additionally attempting to scalp at the same time. One thing you should do if you're trading multiple time frames is have different accounts. You should have your intra-week account, you should have your high time frame account, you should have your intraday account, and you should not see two positions, in my opinion. If you're employing different strategies amongst trades, you should kind of group up each trade in different places and create like a separation between them. And when you open up your intra-week trade, you focus on intra-week charts and you say, is this thesis still alive, right? Because what traders will often do is they'll be bearish on an intraday basis, but be bullish on an intra-week basis, and get rid of one trade. Like if you lose on your intraday trade, but then your intra-week trade is profitable, people end up closing their intra-week trade to cover the loss of their intraday trade, right? So you end up trading your P&L and you're conflating two ideas. I'm bullish on this time frame, I'm bearish on this time frame, and you kind of tie up yourself into flipping your bias between time frames as well, right? And I think if you're going to trade multiple time frames at the same time, you need to separate the money between accounts. I think that's one thing that can help you out. One second, quick. I'm gonna move over. Okay. One sec. All right, we're back. All right, let's see if there's anything else in chat. Would you mind going over some examples of how you attack the 4-hour compression gap fills? Could you provide some good and bad? Well, we could just use ES here, sure. Here's the thing you should remember, right? The EMA is a guide to basically dumb down the trend, the overall trend in a market, right? You can also, like, even if you remove this, you can just look at simple price action to take the exact same trade idea, right? What is the high that led to the low? Right? Here's the high. Oops. That led to this low. Right? Here's the swing high that led to this low. When you take out this high, you're breaking market structure, basically, right? If you want to be, you know, there's nuance to this. Some people are going to take this high. Some people are going to take this high. Some people are going to take this high. You want to clean it up, just take the highest point, right? Once you take this high, you've got a definitive market structure break. There's no nuance to it. You've officially taken a higher high. You've got a market structure break. What are you looking for then? A higher low to long into, right? Where are the regions where you can take this or potential higher low, right? Possibly into the 4-hour demand. So if you take out this high, you drop back into the 4-hour demand, right? That could be a setup where you're looking for, and then you look for entry triggers, right? Entry triggers could be on the 15-minute, same situation where you're like getting a downtrend right here on the hourly, on the 4-hour. Eventually you set a really strong low, you break market structure, you can buy into the breaker here or buy into the higher low. That becomes your entry trigger on the 15-minute. This low becomes your stop loss. This all happens within the context of this demand on the 4-hour. That becomes your reversion signal. This is the low time frame trigger, the same kind of fractal setup on the high time frame. And then you extend your targets either to new highs, which I love to do, TP1, and then TP2 would be the overextension into kind of the end all take profit region. And then if you just ignore all this, everything that I just said, and then you do on the trend basis, it becomes the exact same thing. Actually, let's just do it like this, right? You pop this up. It's the same thing, right? You've broken the 4-hour downtrend. If you're going to get an immediate gap fill, and this isn't just going to turn into slop right here and a range right here, you're going to immediately start respecting the 4-hour uptrend. right? And the way that you do that is you pop above it, you retest it, and you continue. Kind of caters to the same idea. Your invalidation can be on an immediate continuation setup. Hey, we're losing demand right here. We shouldn't do this. This is the low. This is the low that led to this high, right? We should not break this structure and drop below this, because if we break this, we're disrespecting the trend, we're disrespecting market structure, we're disrespecting demand. This probably is going to be a little bit more shaky. It may even bleed out, it may even set another low. There's no trade set up there. So if we're looking to play continuation, we have really close invalidations for the thesis based on trends, based on market structure, yada, yada, yada. You get it, you get it, you get it. Odd request, can you pull up Walmart? Every time it loses the 4-hour trend, it does a massive gap. Wait, let me read this. Massive. It does so with a massive gap. Even reclaims the 4-hour trend happens with a massive gap up. All right, let's look at Walmart chat. If you're talking about gaps like this, yeah, I don't have an edge to tell you of like what I would do for this. Oh my God, there's like, it's gapping up and gapping down on pre-market. A lot of times these things have to do with earnings reports, right? You have big after hours volatility with earnings. Let's just, yeah, see, this is an earnings report. Highlight the, yeah, that's the exact day. So literally it gapped down on earnings. I wouldn't really have anything to kind of say with, you know, trend trades and earnings and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't really have anything I don't think valuable to add as far as like gaps and 4-hour trends. Just on what you said about EMAs, there's still value in it being used as a shelling point. Can you see in beauty contests if more people use it? I think that's all of TA. I think EMAs, price action, VWAPs, yes, there are algorithms that'll just buy every EMA retest or sell every EMA retest in an uptrend or a downtrend. People code those kind of things for sure. But the more some people use something, the more valuable it's going to be 100% until it kind of overpopulates, right? So you're going to have the classic curve of someone develops an edge in the market. He may tell some people or may display competence. Some people copy trade them. This is the rise in popularity. Eventually it reaches a point where too many people are using one thing, and then it almost becomes profitable to do the exact opposite of what all the sheep in the market are doing. So if 90% of the market is attacking it one way and you've got the money to counter them, you kind of know what they're going to do. You know how they're going to open positions, and it almost becomes profitable to inverse the strategy and kind of use all these people as entry liquidity or even exit liquidity. That's like the way most metas go, and I think EMAs in crypto are kind of trending in this direction. Now here's the caveat that I should say, the disclaimer. I have not been in crypto long enough to see how something like this would play out over enough time. I don't know if there's been a rise and fall in EMAs in prior cycles. I have heard from people in crypto that the Ichimoku cloud, I believe, was something that was really, really, really strongly used in crypto for a cycle or two, and has completely been abandoned in crypto now because that edge got oversaturated in markets. Something that I've noticed myself is ICT trading, this idea of there's this rogue high, let's run this wick for a perfect liquidity sweep, and then we get back inside, and this is the ultimate high time frame turning point, and it's down only from then, or the exact opposite of we're setting a low and we're in an uptrending environment, right? We're trending like this. All we're going to do is we're going to run this low and we're going to get back inside. We're going to go again. This has been overly used in crypto as well. And I've seen this edge erode, and a lot of ICT traders just get left in the dust because they're not getting the entries that they want, right? And sometimes they'll get the perfect liquidity sweep and it'll be not what they want, right? They'll get a bounce, and that bounce leads nowhere, and they end up round tripping in a lower low, right? So I've seen edge erosion in some of the kind of ICT mechanics too as they got over popularized in crypto. but doesn't mean that you can't adjust, right? I know a lot of ICT traders that don't specifically only use sweeps, right? They'll use FVGs and they'll use breakers and they'll use market structure and all these other techniques within the confines of ICT trading. So like someone said, I think it was Livid in chat earlier, that said, you know, the edge is not the TA, the edge is you. It's how well you can kind of call an audible and make adjustments and have the knowledge in markets to kind of counter these things when they occur, because they're going to occur. Can you talk about more how you identify erosion and edge? Well, it's just your statistics go down, right? You have a set hit rate for a setup that's maybe 70% hit rate of playing out the way that you want, right? If you get a setup, it'll play out directionally the way that you want 70% of the times. If you find things like this in the market, it doesn't even have to be 70, maybe it's 65, whatever. You find something like this, that's an edge in the market. If this inevitably starts going down and down and down, it's the product of two things. Either the meta in the market is shifted from, let me say, for an example, in a range bound market, you're not going to find much value trading EMAs from range high to range low, right? You may find some, but the hit rate is going to be lower and lower. When you expand away from a range, the hit rate for trend trading in EMAs is going to be extremely high. So it's on you now to figure out, has the meta shifted? Are we gone back from a trending market to a range bound market? Or simply, has this hit rate gone down in all contextual environments? If it has, then the edge that you once had in markets is eroding. So it's just statistics, right? EMAs isn't that big. Levels is the biggest. I think that's debatable. Yeah, you know, Dawn, Cred, EXO, even EXO uses EMAs a little bit. But yeah, 100%. Like the basis for all trading in the entirety of the market is price action. That's the foundational basis for, I think, everything. I think there's very few traders that can trade without it, that basically trade on order flow. That is an edge. That was an extreme edge, I think, last cycle. And there's been a huge rise in people using order flow this cycle. And I think, you know, more and more people are going to continue using order flow. If you talk to some of these guys, they'll probably tell you themselves that things that were high hit rate, high alpha have not been as high hit rate, high alpha this time around, right? One thing I used to hear so much, right? Let me just give you an example of last cycle, is like Bybit was the noob exchange, Binance was the good exchange, right? And anytime you would see traders super offsides on Bybit, you know, whether it's funding rates or open interest or anything like that, you could kind of just fade the idiots on Bybit, because you're just like, oh, all these guys are just retail idiots. And Bybit doesn't trade like that anymore, right? That's a form of edge erosion that people had in the markets. They could always just say, hey, Bybit's going crazy, they're super offsides, whatever positions they're taking, you know the market's going to flip in the opposite direction. That's not there anymore. Do you guys remember, anyone around last cycle, do you guys remember the Alameda BART, where they would use illiquid moments in markets to mark something up, hold price here by spoofing the book with limit orders? They would unload spot on you guys, then they would just pull the bids and then just have a full BART. The Alameda BART, right? That was an edge in markets that's gone, right? Once people started recognizing what was happening, they would take the trades the same way Alameda would. How do I become an absolute machine in trading? Repetition, just like anything else. Time, experience, repetition, hard work, journaling, self-reflection, trading with a purpose, not just trading to trade. Every trade needs to be with an intention to improve on your last trades. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Very nice. And very nice. Things looking good. Have to find balance of taking enough trades to have a data set to learn from, but also not so many that you just bleed to death. Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think in the beginning, the advice that I give to people when it comes to sizing is you should trade with enough that you feel something, right? You don't want to paper trade, right? You don't want to use demo accounts because you'll feel nothing. You'll trade differently. You'll have a higher hit rate. There are no emotions. There's no money on the line. And you don't want to trade with such small money that you also feel nothing, right? So if you have $10,000 in your account and you trade with $1, you're going to feel nothing. It's the exact same as paper trading. So you need to trade with enough capital that you actually feel something, right? You just feel some attachment to wanting to make money. And you'll feel negatively, right? If your 10,000 goes to 9,500, right? Or whatever. You'll just feel some kind of emotion. These numbers are going to change for every single person. Some people are going to feel more emotions with less loss. Some people are going to feel like no emotions with large loss. And I think that number is different for everyone, right? So you're going to find your own sweet spot where you're not bleeding yourself to death, but you just feel a little bit, right? Every time you're taking a trade. I think that's super important. For me, early on, I did this for like my first 2 accounts, or 2 accounts or 3, I can't remember, but I did it, that way for a bit. And I was kind of doing nothing. I was just like break-even trading for a while. And the first account that I ran up into a 2x was like one of these. So just a small fucking account, just to kind of put concept into reality. And then I started adding more money into my accounts. So yeah, you got to trade with an intention, but I don't think you can paper trade. I think I might be the only guy in CT that's this passionate about this, but I think you're wasting time, absolutely just wasting reps, wasting time, wasting hours, days, months. If you're paper trading, you're going to learn nothing from it. How do I constantly improve every day? I think early on you can improve every day, and after a while you're not going to be able to improve every single day, but it'll become every week or something like that is what I mean by that. But here's the blueprint. I'll be nice. Here's the blueprint. Number 1. I'm going to give you guys like a TLDR. If you don't know what you're doing, this is what you do. What the hell's going on? Be black. Thank you. Find a framework, right? Whether it's price action, EMAs, whatever. Learn the setups. Find the setups on your own. Go through your charts. Find things that go like, oh, if this happens, then that's a trigger. If this happens, then that's a setup, right? Find the setups on your own. Set alerts. Take the setups. Review, ask questions. So find someone. If you guys network enough in here, you'll make friends. You'll make friends with people that are better than you. You'll make friends that are people that are worse than you. Don't be shy to ask people in streams and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll answer them, sometimes I won't. That's just gonna be like luck of the draw. And use that opportunity to grow on your own setups and be like, I took this setup, I got stopped out. Is there anything I could have done better? Was the setup itself good, right? That's part of the reviewing and ask questions part, and then do it again. Right? And then most important thing that's not even in order anymore is but journal, right? Find a framework, learn the setups within that framework, find the setups on your own, right? Don't copy trade, meaning if you see Trader XO, you see myself, you see anyone else out there pointing out, I want to long at this level, you owe it to yourself to not copy trade them because you're not going to learn anything. If they're wrong, you'll just be like, oh, they got one wrong, right? And that's what you'll chalk it up to. If they got it right, you'll develop a dependency to want to copy trade them more. You're doing yourself a disservice, right? So don't copy trade people. Find the setups on your own. Set the alerts. You owe it to yourself to take the setups. It doesn't even matter how it turns out. It literally it's completely irrelevant how the trade turns out. But this comes the most important part. You review the setup and you ask questions to people around you that may know the answers, and ask them, hey, how would you have taken this? Took this trade, how would you have taken this? Or did you take this trade? Or you see someone that actually got it right, and then you learn from them. Be like, oh, I got this completely wrong. They actually were shorting here instead of longing. Why did they short? What was the framework? And you go, okay, that seems pretty intelligent. And then you do it again. You've just leveled up. You've learned something you didn't already know. You find the setups again. You set alerts again. You take the setups again. You review again. You ask questions again. You do it again. And you journal this entire process every single day. And what this will ultimately lead you to do is find setups that work better. It'll improve the quality of your analysis. It'll improve the quality of the setups you're taking. And then it all comes down to your execution. And then you're going to find this as a later part of your journey where you have the analysis down, you have the setups down. Now it comes down to you versus you. Are you sizing appropriately? Are you trading your P&L? Are you trying to overcome losses by tripling your size on the next trade? Are you sizing down because like now you're scared? You're like, oh, I've lost 3 in a row. Let me just take a small setup. And that setup turns out to be a banger, but you size too small. These are all little things that traders have to go with throughout their journey to improve. And that's where journaling comes in. It's going to be you versus you when you know the simple setups and you know everything and you got the analysis at some point, and you can kind of always have an idea of this week we're going to be bullish or this week we're going to be bearish, and you have a good hit rate of bias selection, right? That all that stuff's really easy, and that'll take you a couple weeks to months to figure that out. You'll notice that there's a lot of guys on CT who are always correct in their analysis, but they can't trade for shit, right? That's part of the journey as well. Most people stop there. They stop where they get good enough at the analysis, and they don't get good enough at the execution part because they can't tackle the you versus you part. And you just keep repeating this, and that's how you get better every single day as a trader. It's going to take a while. And the more hours a day that you can dedicate, the faster that you could potentially get there. The less hours a day you could dedicate, the slower that you could potentially get there. And I say potentially because even someone with thousands of hours can still be struggling. It's just there's a nature part of this game as well. Same way that like you can send your kids to the most prestigious sports academies in the world, it doesn't guarantee them to become, Michael Jordan or LeBron James, right? Is Paragon a good group for learning intraday trading? I would say yes. I mean, I have education on it. I talk about it every week. I learned from Magus, right? So like the original framework that I used to start intraday trading was built off of his education, which then I kind of turned a little bit into my own through that same method right there, right? That I just drew out for you guys. I basically applied that method. I learned from him, and then I applied this to my own. And it took me a minute to get it down. And eventually I got it down, and now I teach the one setup basically that I continue using again and again and again, while I continue to build my own intraday trading and trying to find more and more and more setups to add to the arsenal. Charlie also is really good at scalping and trading intraday. He trades like 1 second charts sometimes. Like when he has his spaghetti open, I don't know how Charlie's kind of a wizard when it comes to this. I actually have no idea to this day how he does it so well. I don't know why it's taking 2 hours to load, but he puts his spaghetti charts, I believe, on the 1 second time frame sometimes, and he can find trends on super volatile days. We don't have that volatility anymore. We're not in that environment anymore. So I don't know how much he's using spaghetti at this current time being, but he has the ability to spot outliers in here. And while Magus and I will probably favor trading majors on an intraday basis more than alts, actually, I don't want to say that. I think Magus trades alts too, plenty. He scalped the shit out of the cartel meta. I don't know how many of you guys remember the cartel meta in 2023, but I think he fucking destroyed that meta. But I basically trade majors, and Charlie is like 100% altcoins. I wouldn't say 100%. maybe that's an exaggeration too, but like 95% can catch rotationals on altcoins. So I'd say it's a pretty good group for that. It's not the only one. I'm sure there's other groups out there that teach intraday trading very well. We're not the only ones, but yeah. What about taking mental trades? I think if you are just so brand new, yes, there's value to that because you're still in your analysis arc. You're still figuring out like everything. You're so early. But after a certain point, it's the same as paper trading. I don't think it's worthwhile. I think you need to put money on the line to remember. The more emotions attached to a trade, the more you're going to remember, the more you're going to learn. You almost want to feel pain of losing trades. Not many of you are going to understand what I mean by that, but you almost want to not feel good. You want to like lose a trade and feel like shit, right? You almost want to feel that because that'll for the right people, I think that gears you towards learning the right things because you don't want to feel that again. And you kind of get fueled by, that sucked. How do I fucking not do that again, right? Whereas when you're taking a mental trade, you won't even think about it past lunch. You're just like, whatever. Like you've forgotten it by the time you go to sleep. The gap fill in PEPE kind of in progress right now? Ooh, it could be. Yeah, this is the kind of framework that I set up for myself for PEPE. Trade outside of this local value, reclaim this really clean SR. The confluence that you're going to get early on is with the 4-hourly 100. On low time frame, I think the 4-hour, yeah, so this is really clean. Compression underneath the 4-hourly 100. You're kind of trading into the local value area high. You can trade this on an intraday basis. I had an alert set for myself that never went off. This is the trade that I wanted to take earlier today off of the daily VWAP. I never got it, but I wanted to take this as a momentum continuation trade on low time frames. I never got the trigger for this, so I'm not long PEPE right now. The backup plan is kind of accept above this local value, local value area high, right? Confluence of breaking above the 4-hourly 100, create a value in here, maybe puke down, get a recovery, entry, trigger, invalidation on thesis, dropping back into this value area, play continuation of the 4-hourly 200. That's like the framework for where I'm looking for continuation. The one thing you guys will notice about me versus other traders is I am hyper selective. I know what gives me a good hit rate. I know what doesn't. I'm more than comfortable doing fucking nothing, right? If the market is sitting, like if someone throws meat on my plate, I'm going to eat it. If there's nothing there, I'm not going to be begging for food. Right? So like if I don't get this intraday set up, so be it. Another trade will come, and maybe in a few hours, maybe tomorrow, maybe I got another setup, and I'm always just making game plans of this could potentially happen. This is how I'm going to trade it. This is going to potentially happen. This is how I trade it. Everything, lines up. I'm going to take the trade. The guy in the mirror is a bigger threat to your success than anyone else. Agreed. Can anyone provide a TLDR of what was covered so far? Oh, I don't even, dude. We covered a lot. I'm doing a lot of Q&A with chat today. I talked about my thesis on Bitcoin going to possibly 88.5 based on current prices to the 4-hourly 200, catered by the ES gap fill to its own daily trend. So that's what I'm looking for. That's my bias for this week, maybe even going into next week. But I think it's possible to happen this week. We'll have to see. That's as far as we talked about with high time frame stuff. I talked about education based on Bitcoin high time frame, using Solana as a bias of dropping back into value. We talked about a lot of psychology stuff. I talked about how to get better as a trader day by day. You can always come back tomorrow when everything's timestamped. Can I show you smaller coins and you'll review the chart? Maybe in a little bit. Not yet. Are you better at shorts than longs? There's no difference. I'm basically long only for like the last at least 18 months. I think since like October of 23, I could probably count on two hands how many shorts I've taken. And that's because my high time frame bias was up. I haven't flipped to shorting just because I'm still finding quality setups on the long side. It's considered hard mode. I would consider it hard mode for longs right now. I could literally just take the exact same setups on the short side. But no, I haven't. I wouldn't say I'm better on one side or better on another side. I think that it's the same setups. The system is the exact same. The idea is the exact same. The psychology is the exact same. The only thing that kind of changes is who's in control. Contextually speaking, on higher time frames will probably give you a better hit rate. So if you're longing into a high time frame downtrend, you have to be extremely selective of your spots. If you're shorting only into a high time frame downtrend, you can get away with sloppy execution, sloppy entries, and everything like that because the high time frame is on your side. When I'm trading long only in a high time frame uptrend, I'm basically, taking the same trades. If I'm taking the same trades in the high time frame downtrend, I'm just very selective on my entries and executions and triggers. How do you deal with large losing streaks? I think the largest losing streak... Man, okay, here's the thing. I don't think I've dealt with a large losing streak where I'm like getting stopped out of... For me, a large losing streak is like 5 to 10 losses in a row. I don't think I've done that. I think I've gone through long periods of just chopping up my portfolio where I'm just not making progress in building. And I'm just kind of like, if I'm stuck at $20,000 in an account, I'll be at like 18 to 22 or 16 to 25 for like a couple weeks or a month or something like that. That tilts me really hard. I don't go on consistent like bleeding account losing streaks like this anymore. This doesn't really happen to me. The worst that my trading gets, whereas I do this, right? This tilts me a lot. And a lot of times what that's coming down to is my trade selection, right? If I'm on a losing streak and tilting, I just go back to basics. And I just go back to, let me just wait for the highest quality S tier setup that I could find, and I'm not going to take anything else. I'm going to take only S tier setups. I'm going to have perfect execution as well as I can do it. And I'm going to live with the results, right? If I'm still losing trades, I'm not going to take it personally, right? But more often than not, if I just improve my trade selection and only pull out the S tier setups from my quiver, right? And I just don't speculate on anything else, I'll be okay. And I can trade myself out of that hole. One thing that I've done in the past, when I'm on a big losing streak, and my account is doing something like this, is I cancel the account. So if I have, whatever amount of money in here, right? And I've done this, right? And this has taken me months, right? And it's taken me months to build this account. And I just cannot, for whatever reason, mentally get out of this rut. I will take all the money out of this account and I'll open up a brand new account and just not worry about this P&L. And I've done this many, many times in the past. All this does is give me a fresh slate. And I'm just not thinking about my P&L curve. And I'm not thinking about the money in the account. And I'm not thinking about, oh my God, I've given this much back. Oh my God, my account all-time high was at this number. And now I'm at this number. And I've just given back 2 months of money. I just get rid of it. And it's a little symbolic, small thing. It does nothing but free up your mental a little bit. And you guys would be surprised how well this works. It's just completely resetting. Because the first thing that anyone wants to do with a fresh account is start with a win. Everyone wants to do that. And you'll just naturally do the thing that I was talking about earlier, is you'll just wait for S tier setups. You'll kind of just be patient and patient and patient and patient and be like, all right, there we go. And you'll start with a win and you'll start feeling good again. And you can kind of snowball that confidence back up. It's not something that people talk about a lot, which is confidence in trading is really, really important, because if you're low on confidence, even if you get an S tier setup, you may not even want to take it because you're just in this tilting mindset of everything is going to go against me. Everything is bad. I'm just going to lose every trade. And when you're hyper confident, the inverse happens where you're like, oh, I don't need to wait for this. I'm on such a roll. I'll take a sloppier entry. I'll do less prep work for my trading and stuff like that. So confidence, like overconfidence can be a killer, but low confidence is also a killer too. So managing your kind of emotional baseline is really important in trading. Does Bitcoin's close correlation with the NASDAQ render typical support and resistance levels, support and resistance, less reliable as price? Does Bitcoin's close correlation with NASDAQ? No. I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing with alts and Bitcoin, right? Alts and Bitcoin are correlated, right? And while Bitcoin is trading in its own range, altcoins may just have a bigger range, right? Their support and resistance is a little bit different, right? Bitcoin's a little bit tighter, altcoin's a little bit bigger, ES is even tighter, right? ES is going to have even less volatility, but the same kind of concepts apply. If ES is at mega high time frame support, the strongest support Bitcoin has nearby is probably where ES is going to trade into, vice versa for resistance. And same thing applies to altcoins. So like here's the correlation. Like look where PEPE is, right? All the way back down at this macro range low from last year. And look where Bitcoin is. It's trading right into the range low, right? And it's kind of holding this range. It's already curling upwards, already kind of showing a little bit of relative strength against ES. While ES was bottoming out, Bitcoin had already kind of bottomed. And this was the kind of range low or lows for ES. How old are you? Nice try, Fed. No, I'm kidding. I'm 32 now. I'm old. How do you trade price discovery coins, for example, Ohm, using trend trading strategies? That's the number one. Anything in price discovery, 4-hour trend, daily trend, weekly trend. If you lose a 4-hour trend, you look for support at the daily trend. If you lose the daily trend, you look for support at the weekly trend. In between the 4-hour and daily, you're going to cater better to price action techniques. Between the daily and the weekly, once again, price action techniques. Your weekly trend is your last region of support that can maintain a high time frame trending environment. Holding the weekly is at best going to give you, at worst going to give you like a complacency shoulder high, but it should still give you a good bounce from the weekly. I don't think, there's not many times that you're going to just nuke right through the weekly trend with absolutely no support. You're probably just not going to knife through it. I can give you a good example here on PEPE, right? PEPE, look at this. It just literally went straight down, but even then you had a 50% bounce off the weekly trend. Right, so same thing. When you're in price discovery, 4-hour trend's lost, you're gonna get the daily trend lost, you're gonna get the weekly trend lost, you're probably gonna go to fucking zero. What's your chart time like, and how do you spend your time between setups now and also when you started out? When I started out, it was like 18 hours a day. It was literally day and night. If I wasn't sleeping, I was looking at charts, or I had them open on my laptop, or even if I was out in public, I was just looking at my phone. Completely obsessed to like an unhealthy degree. Nowadays, chart time is significantly lower. I'd say a couple hours a day. Active trading, like I make up my game plans in the morning. I don't need to watch charts. As once I set my alerts, I don't really need to actively watch charts, right? So I set alerts on PEPE this morning. Right, look at these two alerts that I set here. One, this is like kind of when I woke up, 5, 6 in the morning. We're kind of trading in this region. I set alerts of like, if we retrace into the daily VWAP, I want to be alerted before it happens so that I'm available and ready, and I want to be alerted possibly when we actually get the tag. I don't really need to watch charts in between, right? So my chart time nowadays is very minimum, I'd say. I don't really need to actively stare at stuff. I kind of know what I'm doing. But yeah, early on, I needed as much as possible. How do you spend your time between setups? In Discord, teaching, educating, streaming like I'm doing right now, shit posting on Twitter, working out, and then everything else is like real life stuff, right? I have a very, very, very good work-life balance now in 2025 versus what I was in 2022 and 2023 and even 2024. I sound young as fuck. I'll take that as a compliment. My cousin was in town this weekend. She's 6 years old or younger than me, excuse me. Her older brother, my cousin, lives here with me. He's like my brother, and he lives in the same town as I do, and we hang out like all the fucking time. And his younger sister came in. She hadn't seen me in a minute, and I don't know what we were looking at driver's license for. I think it was just some funny thing, but she looked at that and she goes, "Oh my God, you've aged." I was like, "God, thanks." Thanks. I was like, "That picture's not from too long ago." And she's like, "Oh my God, you've aged." And I was like, this is probably not a good time to start talking about trading, but probably has something to do with that. What defines overtrading for you? Overtrading for me is trading without intention. If I'm just trading for the sake of trading and taking trades that I didn't plan, that's overtrading. If I take the trades that I planned, I'm not overtrading. If I'm taking trades that I didn't even plan going into the day or going into the week, and I'm doing it on the fly without focusing on, the core bias going into the week, core game plans going into the week, and trading the levels that I want to trade and kind of just opening trades left and right, whatever, to me, that's overtrading. Yellow Canary, what would you think is the best strategy for people that want to take their port from 4 figs to 5 figs, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7? It's all the same thing. Playing Marvel Rivals between setups. Boom. Bingo. Yeah, I'm playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. What do you think of the best strategies? It's all the same, I think. I think the way that I did, I can just talk about myself. First of all, watch my 2024 yearly review. A very long version that you're asking that question is in there. You want absolute details on everything that you just asked, it's in that video. The 2024 performance review, it's here on the channel, it's public, you can watch that. Everything in your question in a very detailed manner will be in that video. But TLDR, I think scaling strategies, the more money that you get in crypto, the more beneficial it is to take a step back from active trading and look for positional trading when you have a high time frame thesis of upside. I think putting a lot of chips on the table from a spot perspective and trying to nail big high time frame moves on the dailies and the weekly charts from a spot perspective is an extremely effective way to scale your portfolio versus doing the same strategies early on, because at a certain point, everyone kind of mentally gets sized out. So the strategies that allow you to build from $1,000 to $10,000 because you're not that scared of the position sizes, at a certain point, it's going to be very hard to mentally tolerate the entry volatility of taking a trade and just being down the snap of a finger to being down $1,000 because you have $1 million position or whatever, or paying an exorbitant amount in fees in trading. So I think the most effective way of scaling, some motherfuckers out there don't have this issue 100%, right? But I myself did. I got pretty mentally sized out at a certain point, and I swapped to super high time frame spot positional trading strategies once my portfolio scaled to a certain point. Why did you mention that 88K level, the 4-hour 200 EMA? What are you doing in between trades? Living life. I don't know, just doing normal human being things, right? I'm not sitting here staring at the 1 minute chart all day. I'm at the desk. I'm active at the desk. Sometimes I'll play video games with friends, right? 2 monitors, 1 monitor I can play video games on, the other monitor has charts and alerts and everything like that. If something pops off, I stop playing, right? But yeah, I mean, I'll be in Discord, I'll be answering questions, I'll be doing these streams and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I already answered that question. How do you separate mentally perp trading with spot trading with size? It's a different thing entirely. It's the same thing that I said earlier on when somebody asked me about their intra-week setups and their day trading setups, that they're chopping themselves up. I think it's the same thing with spot trades. It's like, you just want to separate those accounts. You don't want to see them day to day. You're not looking at them every second of the day. If you're taking a daily, a position based on a daily chart or weekly chart, there's no point in looking at it every 20 minutes. But if you're taking a trade for mean reversion on the 1 minute chart, you need to be looking at that trade pretty fucking actively once you're in it, right? You're looking at it every second. You're probably not even taking your eyes off the screen for a second. So it's a completely different thing. And I think you just separate those accounts. When are your new set of educational videos coming out? The first 4 were awesome. I recorded 2 more. I did the, the leverage trading one. Commonly asked question for beginners is, how do I use leverage? And there's really newbie questions that I get often of like, what leverage multiplier should I use? Is 50x too much? 10x too much? Is 5x too much? So I have a video giving you guys the basics of like, position size means more than anything, and the way that you execute that is irrelevant. Anyways, that video is recorded. When are they going to be released? I think I want to talk to Magus again and see where we are with the WAP module stuff, because we really want to put the videos out there. But if it takes too long, yeah, I'll just dump them in Discord once again. If someone's drowning but my training video goes on, I hope they can swim. Are you a lifeguard? Do you think USDT dominance is an important chart to pay attention to? I don't. If you have an edge there, go for it. I don't look at it. Do you believe Bitcoin will hit 444,000 this year? No. It's a troll ass question, but no. Okay, the stream is a little laggy on my end. I'm going to refresh it. If the stream pauses on your guys' end, just wait like 15 seconds and refresh. Sorry about that. I know what the issue was. I left my... Sorry about that. I know what the issue was. I left my VPN on. Sometimes it gets a little shitty with streaming. Not a lifeguard, just a bad friend. Speaking of meta, remember when DXY was used as a tool for risk on for assets? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have friends that use that very effectively. I don't think I've ever used that extremely effectively, but I remember paying attention to it a lot in 2022. I did a lot of things in 2022 that I would consider wasted effort, but at the end of the day, it's experience to know that I don't need that shit. Do you have Milady? Yeah. I have a couple Miladies, a couple Remilios. I actually tweeted about it on like Saturday or something, but I don't know if I'm gonna keep them or sell them, but it's been like the best accidental ROI, or like one of the, it was accidental in terms of like, I didn't buy it to think that I was getting airdrops. I bought it to speculate on price appreciation, and then I stopped caring about the price of Miladies and Remilios because they just kept fucking giving us airdrops every month. Yeah. I think we're gonna do a shorter stream this week. I think I'm feeling a shorter one. We usually go for 2 hours. We're like an hour and a half right now. I'll stick around for a bit, answer some more questions. If you guys have some good ones, drop them in. But yeah, I mean, TLDR of today's stream, we did a lot of Q&A with chat, but I think, the timestamp section talking about my bias, my high time frame bias, what I'm kind of expecting from crypto, from stocks and stuff, I think it's pretty clear. The one thing that I'm used to happening in 2022, I tweeted about this too, I think a bunch of you guys probably saw that tweet, is in 2022, Bitcoin would bottom first, right? It would sell off before ES, so EOS would be kind of rounding off and still selling off. Bitcoin would already be nuking, and then Bitcoin would do something like this where it's just holding support, and ES would be nuking, and we'd be like, oh my god, that's relative strength, right? And then we would get this mega recovery on ES, this big kind of bear market rally, and Bitcoin would kind of just do fuck all. And we would kind of be expecting big relief, and Bitcoin would do nothing. That is my only concern with markets right now, is like, what if we're in that meta again, where ES does this massive recovery into the location that we're looking at, and Bitcoin's like, psych, bitch, fuck your recovery. ETH up the most would be is ETH up the most? It is 2.75% on ETH. I mean, hey, if we can get this trade, that would be not bad. I mean, that's kind of clean. High time frame level, Confluent on low time frame are being respected. 4-hour trend compression, point of breakdown, breaking through it. Would be nice to get this trade. Something I may monitor. Let's see what it looks like on low time frame. Yeah, not yet. This is 2020. Where's 2020? Ah, almost the same. Yeah, maybe there's a trade here. I'm gonna watch this one. Are you gonna keep trading crypto in the bear all the way to the next bull? Yeah, probably. Where to draw volume profile from? Demand or high-low? Just do it from wherever the start of the consolidation is. So if we're looking at Ethereum here, where's the start of our consolidation, right? Either take this candle or the next one. It's not going to affect the volume profile too much, especially when you're looking at like 4-hour charts, right? So you're basically just trying to get the bulk of the consolidation that occurred, right? Let's see how much changes if we move it one candle over. A little bit, right? Because this is a high volume, high delta candle. So it's going to change a little bit. I think the reading is a little bit cleaner here. Let's go to the 1-hour chart, see if we can clean it up a little bit. There you go. The same concept applies to like if you draw a horizontal line or a fixed range volume profile with value area high and value area low. This line here is not the end all be all, right? If it's like if it drops 1% lower or it goes, it's the concept that this is representing that's important. It's not the line itself, because the line itself is going to move too, right? The more data and the more volume that comes in, the value area in the high and the value area low is going to keep shifting as well, right? It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. So it's the concept that's being represented of where the bulk of the volume is, where we're getting outside of value to the high side and outside of the value to the low side, and the setups that are presenting themselves around these pivot points, not the end all be all of the decimal point of the line. So don't stress too much about that, in my opinion. What do I see here? Here's the classic composite buildup, right? So forget about the context of up or down, right? The same thing I'm seeing on the low time frame, same thing I'm seeing on the high time frame. So if we go to the 4-hour charts, what's the 4-hour setup? It's the 4-hour gap fill from 4-hour trend break, right? You get the compression, you get the trend break. Where's the next obvious target on the EMA scale is going to be the daily trend, right? The daily trend will probably come down a little bit. So I kind of just drew this 220 line. You look at the low time frame, I have a confluent level on the low time frame that is overlapping the exact same region that I'd be looking for high time frame. That's nice for me. Do I want to take a trade betting on long while we're in this consolidation? No. But if we start breaking out and accepting above the local value area high, it doesn't even matter if you just draw a range, right? Once we start breaking above this, if we can accept above, right, then these kind of pukes in this region are for longs and playing continuation with your invalidation dropping back in the prior value. So you're taking the high time frame context and the setup, and you're just going to execute a low time frame. I have another level here that's dark. You guys probably can't see. But this kind of represents that same gap. What's something lacking in the crypto YouTube scene? I want to add value, but still refining skills. I think streams like mine. I'm not saying this to be egotistical or anything, but I think there's too much YouTube slop of this week in crypto, this shit happened with this shit coin. So it's just like presenting news, right? There's so many of those channels, and there's too many people peddling hopium, and there's too many people commenting on, you know, clickbait shit of like price predictions and stuff like that. We have too much of that bullshit. We don't have enough people like Trader Main and Magus and Charlie and Exo and myself and Fallis, who's streaming on Twitch. That shit is much more valuable, right? So if you're going to provide value in those terms, consider it a net positive. Stream keeps stopping randomly still. I think it might just be you, because now it's perfect on my end. I have 0 dropped frames, 100% uptime, full bars. I had a brief moment where the VPN was fucking it up. Should be good now though. Might just be on your end. Thoughts on Jez Isabel being ETH driven? I don't know what any of that means. Thoughts on Jez Isabel being ETH DeFi bull run right now? I have no idea what any of that means, bro. That's like a different language. What is Jez a coin? Is that a person? Are they saying something about an ETH DeFi bull market? Is that coin itself in an uptrend? I don't know. How do you gauge acceptance versus simply being a multi? I think the easiest way, I'm gonna give a little bit something away here. If you have a range like this and you have a trickle through, this trickle through is gonna be guided by an EMA or a trend or something or a VWAP, right? You're gonna have structure in here. If that trend is lost, that's probably gonna cater to a deviation. If you have a God candle through here, these are the easiest to play, right? Let's draw it like this. You have a God candle through here, these are the easiest to play. You basically want to play into the pullback and the next consolidation that forms in here without a full retrace. I can't keep up with so many streams. I already watch you, Magus, Don, Cred. Yeah, that's a lot of streams. I think if you're watching these many streams, you're gathering a lot of information. I mean, obviously, I love you guys watching the streams and hanging out with me, but if you're really looking to improve, I think this is the point where you're gonna have to put the streams on the back burner, and you're gonna have to start going out and making tough decisions on your own and getting shit wrong, and then reviewing and then watching our streams and be like, well, did I do it the same way as Doc and Magus and Don and Cred and whatever, or did they see something that I missed, right? So you're at that person. He's talking about Jez full. I don't know who the fuck Jez is. You know, like, no disrespect to that person. If he's a legitimate, respected trader in our industry, nothing but respect as well. But I have no idea who that is. Jez, the person on CT that's bullish on hype and now bullish on traditional DeFi coins because of the Trump thesis, I believe. Cool. I have no opinions on that, man. Very, very, very rarely, maybe once a year, if that, is someone else's thesis going to get me to follow them or change my plans or view it in their way. 99.9% of the time, I'm ignoring everyone's opinions. Put the streams in the bag, bro. With the slow trickle, do you position at the relevant EMA VWAP or use them as an invalidation? Yeah. So we're trading in a flat VWAP right now. If this thing starts sloping, right, and we start expanding, we can take trades off of the VWAP for continuation. If you like EMAs, you can use EMAs. If, you know, the example I gave you earlier in the stream, this is getting messy. What the? Where are all the brush strokes? Oh, it's going to be on this side, huh? What? There we go. It's like, what the? There we go. I don't don't know why that was rocket science. You can use 4-hour trend trading strategies. You can use the breaker. You can use price action. You can use expansion candle. There's multiple ways to get into trades here, right? You could just look for a setup on the 4-hour time frame. You could look for a setup on the 1-hour time frame. You could use your price action. You could use your EMAs. You could use your volume profiles. You could use low time frame. You could build a thesis on your 4-hour time frame. You could build a thesis on your low time frame. You could use the confluence of triggers based on this setup and this setup, combine the two, and then look for triggers like that. There's a whole bunch of ways to get into these trades, man. I tried to short 84K and got invalidated. Do you think it's a good idea to flip long here? I think if your original thesis was to short 84K, you should... Were you around for the whole stream? Because if you're around for the whole stream and you're asking this question, I'm a bit disappointed. But if you weren't, we're going to let it pass. Your trade idea was to short 84K. That is what you planned. That is what you did. That is what you executed on. What is the next step? Review that trade. Review that trade. See where you went wrong. See if it was your fault on the analysis or if it was just you got stopped unlucky, right? Was the trade thesis good? Was the setup good? Did other people take that trade? Ask to review, right? Ask your colleagues and stuff like that. Hey, would you have taken this trade? Was there something else you could have done? Yada, yada, yada. Did you see the market a different way? Once that's done, then make a new trade thesis. Then execute on that trade thesis. Then review. You don't just go, oh, I was fucking wrong. Let me just take the opposite side of the trade now. Is that a trade that you planned? That's not a trade that you planned. That's just something you're just doing in the spur of the moment. So if you're just taking trades willy-nilly, just like, okay, I got stopped out of this one. I'm just going to fucking do this now. How will you expect yourself to improve? What is the thought process there? What's the review going to look like? All this is going to boil down to is I took a trade on a whim because I asked someone that was streaming if they thought it was a good trade, and then I took the trade. What are you learning from this process? I didn't know who Jez is before I started looking at the Hyperliquid Circle Jerk. My Hyperliquid experience was basically base 16Z. Who else? Nexus. And Flood, who I had to mute, unfortunately, because that guy was being obnoxious. But he, like, I don't follow him, but his shit was all over my feed. And that was the core of the Hyperliquid bros. Oh, also, Kanale. KNL. He was big into Hyperliquid, and then obviously like the clinic boys and stuff. I know Texas crushed that. A couple other people in the clinic crushed that. All right, let's call the stream there, boys. I'm getting a little tired. I know it's a little bit shorter than normal, but nonetheless, I think we talked about a lot of good things today. As always, if you missed the stream, check back tomorrow. Everything will be time-stamped. Go through it. I think the most value from today's stream is not going to be the analysis, but the questions that you guys asked in chat, and then me kind of just going through my own experience with these things, because I think there's going to be more value there than anything else. So definitely check back if you missed a lot of the stream. Take care. Yeah, we'll leave it there. I'll see you guys next Monday. I'll try to put out the outlook tomorrow for like the mini 3 to 5 minute outlook on Twitter. But yeah, cheers everyone. Take care.